And I think we're gonna get started here, guys. Can you see me? Can you see me? Can you hear me? We're gonna have a fun show, guys, I think. We'll see. You're welcome to call in 1-888-775-3773. It is 9 a.m. here in Los Angeles. Monday, April 8th, AD 2024. And it's total eclipse day, but not here in Los Angeles. It's 40% eclipse day, I heard. And that's going to happen just after the Hake report, if I understand correctly, which I could be wrong. I don't really have much on the eclipse, and no, JLP's producer is not going to be coming in to Hake to talk about that today. It is not going to happen, but we will talk about some other things. News, mess going on in the world, your calls if you'd like to call in. There was this Shmorn star who became a Christian and based Michael Knowles interviewed her. I haven't caught the interview, but there's a whole lot of chatter about it. And I caught a few tweets about this situation. A Shmorn star, a dirty video woman, turned Christian. Nice. And Michael Knowles is a guy who's been on in the men's conference. He's appeared at a men's conference. Nice guy of Daily Wire. Based Daily Wire, right? Or not right? And of course, your calls. There were some other things that I hoped to touch on. Let's see. Well, we'll see. Maybe about Scott Adams. There was some interesting things about Scott Adams. But anyway, guys, let's just get right started with the show!
1, 2, 3, 4. Oh, it's the Hake report. The Hake report. La la la. Oh, it's the Hake report. The Hake report. La la la.
Hey, guys!
Oh, it's the Hake report. The Hake report. La la la. Oh, it's the Hake report. The Hake report. La la la.
So, how you guys doing? I'm fine. I'm wearing a Nevada shirt, FYI. Orange. It's orange, just so you can identify it if you are watching the wrong video for some weird reason. Let me get started with a call or two here, guys. James in New York is on the line. James, thank you for calling, man. You're live with Hake.
Hey, what's up, Hake?
Hey.
I wanted to ask you because I was talking to my brother, and like currently right now he's living with my mom. You know, like my mom got evicted or whatever, and he took her in.
Oh.
But she has her issues and everything, and I know he's trying to be a good son and all that stuff, but like she's driving him crazy and stuff. And for the past few years, he's been like, you know, going to church. He's really like kind of committed himself to God, but like he believes in righteous anger, you know, and I tried turning him on to like listening to Jesse, and I know like Jesse says, don't force people to do nothing, let them come on their own or whatever.
Right.
But I feel like because I guess the church that he goes to, they say like, oh, it's like righteous anger is okay or whatever. Like God, you know, I hear all the time people talking about how like, oh, it's okay to have righteous anger. But I just see how it's affecting him because he thinks that in his head, I guess, that, oh, he should have a right to be angry about certain things. My mom, you know, doesn't clean up after herself, or because, you know, she's kind of a hoarder a bit. So she buys stuff all the time.
Wow.
And
No wonder
I'm
she got
trying to
evicted.
Oh, yeah, exactly. I know. And I try and tell him, like, Jesse, like, don't be angry because, you know, you're just living in your hell. And he's very, like, adamant about, you know, believing it's okay, you know, I'm happy he's going to church and everything, but I feel like it's not, like, helping him deal with that. And I'm trying to talk to him about it, but, like, he gets very defensive, and he feels like he has the right to, like, hold on to his anger. And, you know, I hear Jesse all the time. He's like, let people live in their hell. You know, if they don't want to change, don't. But, like,
Doesn't
I
that
also
make sense
don't
to
want
you?
my... Yeah, I know. And that's the thing. When you're close to something, or, you know, you care about the person, it makes you, it kind of blinds you into thinking that, oh, no, they shouldn't feel that way. But I just don't know how to get him to, like, try and forgive my parents, because I already forgive my parents. You know, I know they couldn't help themselves, and I got past it. But I think maybe because he lives with my mom, it's hard for him to, you know, get past it because he's dealing with the same problems every day.
Yeah,
But
I mean,
well, she lives with him. You know, he's doing her a service right now, so it's
right.
like
That's
and then, like,
probably anger / guilt / emotions that has him doing that anyway in the first place.
Yeah, and like I just, and again,
That wasn't a
I'm not
free
in the same
choice. That wasn't a free of emotions choice. That was a false sense of obligation.
Yeah, for real. And, you know, like, obviously, I don't know if you remember, but, like, I grew up in the system. So did he, you know, all my brothers and
Oh,
sisters did.
so this is not blood mother, it's a foster mother, or is this a blood mother?
No, this is blood mother.
Oh,
Yeah,
okay.
yeah.
So she was out of control, and so you guys went into the foster system?
Yeah,
Back
and
when
then
you were little kids?
we both aged out, you know.
Oh, wow.
But, like, he
out of
really,
curiosity,
like,
did you grow up with him that whole time, or were you guys separated during that foster situation?
I some of the places we were there at the same time, some at different times.
Whoa.
Like we were in, like, same group homes. We were in the same foster home at one time when they were trying to keep us together when we were younger. So, like, I have a little bit more of a connection with my brother because he kind of went through the same cycle as I did. Like, I went to all the same places as him. Some of my other brothers and sisters, they went to different places altogether.
And these are full-blood brothers and sisters?
Full-blood brothers and sisters.
So you have a bunch of full-blood brothers and sisters. And
I'm one of 7.
Wow. And they all are from the same mother and father?
Yeah.
Are you the oldest or something? Did the other children go in the foster care?
I'm the second youngest.
Oh, okay. So she went out of control. She went out of control by the time you guys were starting to be born.
Yeah. So what happened initially was my parents, they were, you know, in the middle, I guess, separating. Like in '93. So they voluntarily put, like, me and my brothers, some of us, in foster care.
Whoa!
Initially, because they were trying to figure out everything, and they couldn't do it with all the kids around.
That's crazy.
But, yeah, and it turned out to be a very bad decision.
Yeah,
I know.
I don't know if foster parents were considered such a bad thing as it seems like they have a bad, foster homes seem to have a bad reputation. Like, foster kids kind of have it rough. Like, they are bad kids, and then they're in a bad so-called foster parents. That's the reputation nowadays. I don't know how it was in the 90s. I thought of it as kind of a positive thing when I was a little kid.
I feel like back then, because there's not as much videos or video camera surveillance kind of stuff or access to information, it was worse. One of my brothers actually died in foster care because he was in an abusive foster home.
Wow.
And they were doing worse than anything that was going on in my parents' house. And he ran away and got hit by a car. And that's kind of what, like, where it kind of ruined everything, you know, the family. And,
the family
you know,
didn't know how to handle that. All right,
Yeah,
so
yeah.
it sounds like you're being go back to your brother. It sounds like you're being a mama to your brother.
Yeah, I know. I got to stop that.
Yeah, because
But
he
I
wants to
want him to
keep her
have
there.
some peace.
Did you? Too bad he can't have it. He doesn't want it.
Yeah. You're right. But
Let him, because
so
otherwise you're just going to alienate him, and then he'll never listen to you.
Oh
If you
no,
just-
yeah. He was
If
he was
you
very
were,
upset with me.
yeah, take out the log out of your eye because you're being a mom at him. He doesn't accept that.
Mhm.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, I got to stop doing that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So just.
No, as soon as I talked to him about it, I realized I made a mistake.
Oh, okay, nice.
And yeah.
But
and
you're
I
still,
was like,
but you're still pursuing it within your heart, within your mind, because you're calling me and asking me advice on.
yeah, which
it.
is I might need to hear it from someone else instead of thinking about it on my own, because clearly I made the wrong decision.
Oh, well, I don't think you need to even hear it from me, because if you know for yourself that it's wrong, that's your sign to stop.
Mm-hmm.
Because
Yeah,
you shouldn't rely on my advice or anybody else's advice. Maybe somebody can say something that kind of snaps you back to reality a little bit, but you definitely want to just, I think you should do what you want, but you should, did you tell him that he shouldn't even be putting her up?
Yeah, I told her, I even told my mom, like, Ma, like, you gotta, like, maybe go into a nursing home or a care home, because you're not getting the proper care from my brother. Even though he's giving you a place to stay, he can't take care of your needs.
Right.
You understand?
So were you guys raised Christian? Why are you happy that your brother's going to church? Were you not raised Christian, or were you raised Christian?
I was, like I was saying, like Catholic Charities or whatever.
Oh,
but
yeah,
it
I
was
sort of
kind
remember that.
Yeah,
Yeah,
so,
because
like,
I remember I asked you if you were Jewish or Christian or what, one of your first calls, and you said you were raised in Catholic Charities, and you kind of got a bad impression of the Catholics because of the Catholic Charities stuff, because that's the Catholic Charities, they just give away money, and they're corrupt morally, I guess, or something.
Yes.
What's wrong with the Catholic Charities, just out of curiosity? Your impression.
Well, I just remember that most of the people who who worked at the places that I was involved with were just people who, didn't want to do it, but they got their rent paid, and they would say that to us sometimes, like, thank God I'm doing this, because I'm only doing this because I get a house out of this. They made it very clear sometimes that they were only in it, because they have to do it, or for community service or this.
Yeah.
So some people will say that, especially like to kids, it's very easy to hurt kids or to make them feel less.
True.
So some of them didn't care.
I made a kid cry one time. I was a substitute teacher, and I made a kid cry. I laughed, but it was bad. That's not good. You don't want to. I mean, yeah, no, it was.
Well,
it's not good.
You shouldn't. Well, kids should. They got to learn that they can't give people power over them. So the first time, if they cry, okay, maybe. But after that, he
was a
probably
first
didn't cry
grader.
anymore.
He was a first grader, but it was
good.
it was towards the beginning of school. So it was towards the beginning of the school year. So he's basically an old kindergartner. But even a kindergartner shouldn't have been acting the way he was acting. But the parents are that bad off, and so like he had me chasing him around the room, and I yelled at him, and he started to cry.
Right.
I laughed to keep from crying. So it's not. I'm not proud of it. It's just I hated it. I can't handle those bad kids, even the first graders.
Yeah, but like the thing with my brother, I think the reason why I guess, because like I have other brothers and sisters, it doesn't like bother me. Like, okay, whatever, that's fine. But this one, I went through a lot of the same stuff that he went through. Like we went to all the same places. We kind of have that connection because me and him were in the system the longest out of everyone else.
I get you, but that's an emotional connection. It's not like you have this. It's not like you're his guide. You're not your brother's keeper. You're not his babysitter that he should listen to you, even if you're giving good advice. You're not giving it from the right spirit. You're giving it from Do you know what I mean by mama? By like
Yeah.
wanting him to see something, you can't force him to see it.
Yeah. Yeah.
You can't
And I
force him
told
to
him
see for himself or do the best what's in his best interest. You told
yeah,
him you told him maybe you told him in the wrong way. Now just let it go.
I told him sorry that I put it like that, and he forgave me. He's like, look, no, I get what you're saying, but like
okay.
I don't want to be like forced or like be told what to do.
Nice.
It's like if I'm ready to do it on my own.
Yeah.
And I did. I said I appreciate you for forgiving me for that.
I like that from your brother. That's a nice answer.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and that's what he said. And
so just leave it alone unless he asks you.
Yes, sir. Yeah, that's
or
it.
if you have or if you think that he, I suppose if you think, well, this is just my advice because you should definitely do what you see to do because you're in the situation, but you're not actually in that situation. That's just your brother and your mother. You're not even living with them, so leave them alone. But
yeah, I know.
If you have the sense that he wants to talk to you about it, you can ask him, hey, do you want my advice? And then if he says yes, then it's on him if he gets mad when you give him the advice. But I wouldn't even offer the advice because it sounds like he wants to do it for himself, and he can speak for himself. You guys are New Yorkers. You know how to speak for yourselves.
Yeah. That's true, yes. We say what we want.
Yeah.
But I appreciate that, man. But yeah, I just need to talk to someone who understands what because as far as of the thoughts I have, I've been, or like the way a lot of things I'm handling is basically guidance that I'm receiving from you guys. So I feel like if I asked anyone else, they'd be like, I don't know what the hell you're talking about, to me, And I'm like, okay, whatever.
That's funny. You definitely want to start to live from what you see as right without relying on people whom you admire or whatever for their input, I think. And then as far as righteous anger, there might be a righteous anger. I don't know. I forget whether that's phrase is even in the Bible or not. But perfect hatred is perfect. I hate them with a perfect hatred. Perfect hatred is. But everybody thinks that their anger is righteous. Have you noticed that?
Yeah.
Everybody thinks that they're.
I am guilty of doing that too.
Yeah. That's a trick of the mind. You don't want to. I mean, if they want to, you might make that point to your brother if he brings that up and tries to debate you on it. But other than that, I wouldn't. I would leave it alone. If personally, I would suggest leaving it alone.
All right. Thank you.
Yeah, because it's better. It's better if you're living it than if you're telling it. As Sean, the producer of the Jason Lee Peterson show yesterday in church said, beware of unearned wisdom. We learn all these things and they sound true and they are true, but us spouting off isn't going to be, it's not the light. Us spouting off the facts is not shining the light, Nice. I appreciate you, James, in New York. Great call.
Have a good day, Hake.
You too. Bye. That's nice. Okay, so before I get to calls, there is one line open, guys. 888-77 Jesse. We were on JLP's network. This is like an embarrassing topic. It's weird. Cernovich on Shmornography. I'm calling it Shmornography for the sake of the kids and the ladies. So I put Porn Star in the folder, Hassan. Cover your eyes, kids. Okay, so I saw this post from Cernovich on X, a former Manhood Hour guest on the Jesse Lee Peterson show, and Fallen State guest, and repeat radio show guest, men's conference speaker who cussed at the men's conference. He stated, you pay for it with your soul, even if you're watching it, quote unquote, for free. And I'm like, I bet I know what he's talking about. And sure enough, I look into it, and cover your eyes, kids, ladies. I didn't censor any of this stuff. I'll censor it when I read it. This person who calls himself Melvin, I'm not going to read his username. Oops, I just called attention to it. Said, who pays for Shmorn? I don't get it. And he's quote tweeting Cernovich, who said, men pay for Shmornography. Probably you guys have picked up on what I'm talking about. And then dirty pictures, dirty videos, right? And then feel murderous rage against the people producing it. And he's quote tweeting Michael Knowles' post, Michael Knowles' show. Michael Knowles was also a guest on, well, he was a men's conference, Bond men's conference panelist, I think. And he was on Daily Wire. You know, Daily Wire founded by Ben Shapiro. Michael Knowles is like a Christian. I want to say he's either Italian or Irish or one of those things that are white adjacent, white friendly. But anyway, he's a Christian. Catholic, I believe. Maybe a normal Christian. But he interviewed this gal who used to be a Shmorn star, dirty video woman gal, turned a Christian. Sounds interesting, huh? I guess. And there's the gal. $9 million on Shmornography and God saved me. So she made $9 million, this woman named Nala. So like an hour and, what is that? 2 hours and 20-minute long video, I think. They had a sit-down conversation. So Michael Knowles talking to her. And people are saying she's fake and whatever. I don't know. I don't care. Her hair is fake. That's not a real natural red hair color. If you're watching the video, I have a screenshot of her talking with Michael Knowles. Michael Knowles is I call him based because he called Greta Thunberg a mentally ill Swedish child. He's a pretty clear-thinking person, I think. But anyway, so Cernovich said men pay for pornography and then feel murderous rage against the people producing it. They probably feel murderous rage against themselves, the guilt, and against the ladies at whom they look. Because you hate what? You're just a hateful person. Okay, so go back to the one with the replies. You just showed just earlier from that, where the guy's all, who pays? Not that one, but the one before. You showed it earlier. Yeah, that one. That's interesting to me. Okay. Who pays for Shmorn? I don't get it. And a lot of people think that way, right? Because they have it for they show advertisements on these web pages, and a lot of advertisements are seen because people will pay to have their advertisement be seen by you, right? And so a lot of people are looking at that stuff. They get heavier traffic than Commie Nonsense Network, CNN, or even Revolver News. These dirty websites. And so they get major advertising money, I guess. I don't know how advertisers make their money because who even buys stuff based on advertisements? I don't get that. But they pay for it just to be in front of people. So maybe there's some suckers who fall for advertisements. Clearly, she made $9 million. Shmornography is Shmorn. People pay. Yeah, I bet I could believe that. I fell in love. And then so I wanted to pay to see that person. Nasty. And so this gal, this is what caught my eye that I really wanted to talk about. This gal said, my ex-husband, he paid for it. As in, he paid a lot for the divorce. he paid a lot to his divorce attorney since it ruined our marriage, said this evil woman. And I tried to scratch out her name, but I think you can see it through it. Don't harass, well, obviously don't dox, but don't harass her, guys and gals. But I saw this post from this woman in this reply to this quote tweet. Who pays for my husband paid for it. My ex-husband, she said. He paid a lot to his divorce attorney since it ruined our marriage. How does that ruin her? Okay, thank you. I'm done with that, Hassan. My point that I want to bring up is, and then I'll get back to calls. Well, maybe I'll get back to a few more of those replies. That alone does not ruin a marriage. Call me naive, but that alone does not ruin a marriage. It's wrong for him to look at that. In the Bible, Jesus said, if you look lustfully at a woman, you've already committed adultery in your heart. Right? Jesus said that in the Bible. It's a fact. Look it up. But he didn't physically do that. So, one, how did she find out? Was she being nosy? Did he think that it was a good idea to tell her? Two, what the real issue is, I think, is that she judged him after that. And women cannot help but judge the men who are weak / evil, doing the evil thing. But the evil thing that he's doing is not personal. It's nothing to do with her. In fact, life itself, as JLP talks about so often. Ah, yes, Hake, the marriage expert. Thumbs up emoji, says Nugget Man. Thank you. Thank you. Come on, man. The marriage expert. These guys know. I am an expert on the Jesse Lee Peterson show. He's evil weak, and then she's evil. Because his being weak is his issue. And yeah, he's committing adultery, quote unquote, in his heart, right? As quote unquote, as in I'm quoting Jesus. I'm not saying that it's not an adulterous heart that he has. But it's not, it's because he's out of control. It's not necessarily because she's a bad wife or whatever. But she takes it personally, maybe, that he's looking at this stuff, according to her, and then she's putting it out on Twitter. Like, that's a shame on both him and her. Why would she repeat that? Doesn't the Bible say it's a shame to repeat what the evil do in darkness? So you're being a gossip woman. You're being an evil woman by spreading evil stuff. You know? So it seemed evil for her to be saying this. Vindictive. Like she's still bitter. That didn't seem like a just matter-of-fact post. Because that alone doesn't cause the divorce. Her anger about it. And maybe his overreaction to her overreaction. And then it's just all hell. I told you guys about, I don't know if I've satisfactorily made my point that I'm thinking. But I remember I told you guys about this show that Sean recommended to us, Sean JLP's producer. This show in which, and I talked to Nick about it, I think, the Anchor Baby, where this guy, this cop in this TV show was committing adultery behind his wife's back, right? And he was doing that because apparently he was out of control. She found out about it, and she vindictively committed adultery with his friend, his co-worker, his cop partner. And then she told him about it. He didn't tell her. Like, he tried to hide it. He wasn't trying to hurt her. He was just out of control, lustful, all that stuff. She, similarly out of control, but in a evil woman way, was like, did it to hurt him. Not because she's this lustful, out of control person. She did it to hurt him back because she was, her, messed up ego was trying to hurt him back because he hurt her, but he wasn't trying to hurt her, but she's trying to hurt him. You know what I mean? That's what I'm saying. Where with this gal, she's all, it ruined our marriage, but that's not the whole story. Because that alone doesn't ruin a marriage unless she's judging him about it. Somebody said if that ruins your marriage, you have other issues. Big Mitch, I think, said that. She was looking for a reason to leave him. Yeah, because I don't even know that you're necessarily supposed to divorce in the case of adultery. There have been many marriages in which God himself told the prophet Hosea, I think, in the Bible, not to leave this woman. He had him marry a prostitute, if I remember right. And she kept on going back to prostitution, or at least sleeping around. Maybe she was just one who slept around a lot and not paid for it. Prostitute means you're paid for it. But anyway, she kept on doing that, and he kept on taking her back because God was telling him to. And it was like a symbol of God taking Israel back because Israel was unfaithful to God. He called them a wicked and adulterous nation, just like everybody. So anyway, it was just very interesting to me that this gal said that about her husband. Blind, seemingly blind. Maybe it definitely seemed like she's blind to her own evil. Which that's typical of a woman to be in. You and the guys, I encourage guys to be like understanding that they can't help but be mean, nasty, vindictive in their imaginations, making things worse than they need to be. Make sense? Hosea learned what God deals with in us. Yeah? Somebody said this in the chat. If your husband has a smartphone, he is 100 watching dirty videos, says one gal, presumably gal in the chat. I don't know if that's true, but it is interesting. I think that's a crazy thought, Ms. Gal in the chat, or Mr. Gal in the chat. That's a crazy thought. But Sheriff Joe Arpaio, I remember hearing Sheriff Joe Arpaio mention on the radio show, on the Jesse Lee Peterson radio show, back when I was like producer, I think. He commented, these people have, these younger generation have this stuff on their phones, meaning the dirty pictures, dirty videos. And that's so true. That's another reason that the gals, if any gal is well-meaning, should be, I think, more understanding, because it's that much more of a easy access temptation. It used to be easy to avoid that stuff. Some people didn't even know it existed. And now it's like pushed in your face everywhere. They're trying to turn, they've turned normal TV into Shmornography. So they're pushing to weaken and tempt the man into that darkness. So I personally think that the ladies ought to mind their own business, and the guys ought to realize that the ladies can't help not minding their own business, and somebody has to show some understanding if you're going to have a decent chance at a marriage, at a decent marriage. So, and then mind your own business and keep your stuff to yourself. I'm shaking my head. I knew one guy who would admit to his fiance every time he did it. So he just started reading the news anytime he got tempted. He'd just read the news instead. You replaced it with something else, and then he turned into like a beta, though. He turned into total liberal. A lame person. But at least he avoided that temptation. You avoid some mess. Let me see if there's anything in these replies worth touching on. Oh, yeah. Let's get back to some of these replies. That other reply that I said to go away from. Real quick, and then I'll get to calls. Lines are full, guys, believe it or not. The second one down, this person says the amount of vitriol, this dirty video woman who was interviewed, ex-dirty video woman, she's now a Christian. There's more than one of those. She's facing a lot of vitriol from men, many of them betting on her going back to this lifestyle. Disgusting, says Daniel, who, not our Daniel, but this Daniel on X. Yeah, people are nasty. Don't be disgusted. People are nasty. My favorite, this woman, Taylor, says, I think it's a woman, my favorite is that somehow this is all a grift, as lucrative as being an OF girl. I know, huh? I saw somebody say, a former guest on the Fallen State, say that she still has pictures, provocative pictures up on her IG. And this former guest on the Fallen State, Pearl, shout out to Pearly Things, posted the pictures of this woman's edgy pictures. I guess that's not the right word. Provocative pictures from her IG, screenshots on her Twitter of this gal's stuff, this gal's IG, Instagram, and said, these are still up, but I'm the bad guy for doubting that her conversion to Christianity is real. But to me, like, you're just spreading more evil, Pearl. And I like Pearl, actually. Shout out to Pearl. Maybe she's catching the Hake report right now. Maybe she's my competitor. Is she streaming right now? Don't check. These boys are so bad off past 2 generations. No wonder they can't find dates, says this person. Pretty interesting, huh? There's so much judgment, too, by the way, of guys who condemn this stuff, the Shmornography, and yet some of them still do it. You can condemn something and know that it's wrong and still be out of control and fall to the temptation of it. You can still know that it's wrong. It doesn't make you a hypocrite. So that's just that little point there. Thank you, Hassan. Appreciate that, man. Boy, the lines are smoking, guys. I got to get to Josh in Georgia. What's up, Josh in Georgia? It's been a little while since I heard from you, man. How you doing?
Yeah, doing well, man. Yeah, it has been a while. I ain't called you in a minute, man.
Yeah.
Yeah. But, yeah, everything's good, man. Yeah, I was calling about a few months ago. You had a clip where you said you couldn't define what sin is.
Oh yeah, yeah. That's actually the title of my clip for that, I think.
Yeah, that hate can't define what sin is.
Yeah.
That was like, what? I thought that's like a prerequisite to being a Christian, is that you have to know.
Well,
what sin is, right?
People say, sin is an archery term. It means missing the mark. I probably mentioned that in that clip, and also it's sin is. They say sin separates you from God, or sin is separation from God, or all lawlessness is, all lawlessness comes from sin, and sin is lawlessness. These are all stated in the Bible. Probably I mentioned those in the clip, but I was like, sin is not like clearly defined by the Bible, at least not how I read it, which I did read it. And
Right.
neither is prayer. Prayer is not clearly defined.
Right. Wow.
Worship, all these things are not like, it's not like this. People come up with references and contexts from the Bible to manufacture their own like intellectual definition, but then it just
Right.
becomes sort of a rote, oh, worship and serve God. Our purpose is to worship and serve God. And
Yeah,
it's just
Christianese,
like,
right? Christianese.
yeah, Christianese, and it's
Yeah.
also just like saying something off of just head knowledge, and it's empty, comes off empty.
Yeah.
Anyway,
Right. Yeah, and I mean, yeah, you know what? I think forgiveness is like that too. It's like a word that Christians use, and it's common Christian, but I didn't know that it means that. I didn't know that forgiveness means to admit you're wrong for hating somebody.
yeah,
But I, heard bond, right?
right.
So
People think, oh, I forgive, but I don't forget. It's just a word at that point.
right. Yeah, I thought you weren't supposed. I used to think that. That's what I used to think. You
Yeah.
weren't supposed to forget, but you forgive people, but you don't forget what they did. Though.
But God forgets it. Like, at least when I was raised as a kid, I don't know if this part is in the Bible. It said,
Yeah.
I was told, God takes our sins and throws them into the sea of forgetfulness.
Wow.
As far as the east is from the west is that's how far away our sins are from us, or something like that.
Right.
The commandments,
and you
I
see
don't
it's
think the
like-
commandments define sin. The commandments don't mention the word sin. The 10 Commandments, by the way.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. And I heard the guy on Jesse Shore there mention the 7 deadly sins.
Right.
That's what everybody thinks of. Yeah.
I
He was right
I
about
never
that.
learned those. I mean, I heard them from
Oh,
my
really?
phony Catholic
Catholic.
my
Yeah,
phony
some Catholic
Catholic
things.
Mexican friends.
Right.
Who are
Right.
like
Interesting.
they're just so worldly, and then they would talk about
Yeah.
the 7 deadly sins. Like you're doing all of them.
Gluttony and yeah, it is. But I have a definition for it.
Okay.
I would define sin as just straight up the devil.
Yeah, I
It's
mean,
like,
it is sin is. Go ahead. I'm interrupting you. Go ahead.
yeah, no, yeah. It's like the verse where it says, "Sin made a home in me."
Yeah.
It's so the devil. Everyone's born into the world. The devil makes a home in everybody,
Yeah.
and then it causes us to think that we're sinning. That way, we identify with it. And
Right.
that's the whole trick, is to get us to think that we're doing what the devil accuses us of what he's doing. Right.
Interesting.
The communist. Yeah. accuse
I
them of
think
what
he's
you do.
called the accuser in the book of Job, right?
Right. And that's what he does to everybody. He accuses everybody of.
And then people act like
yeah.
the accuser, like the women do
Yeah.
with the Me Too movement, and the women do with the pornography destroyed our marriage. No, your sin and his sin combined made it unmanageable.
Yeah.
Which is your
Wow.
nasty judgment around this topic that should, if you think about it, has
Yeah.
nothing to do with you. I'm going back to this pornography story that
No, because that's the perfect example of what I used to think that was the biggest sin ever.
lust. Yeah.
Yeah, and it's like I say it's no different than drinking alcohol. It's something people can't help.
Right.
It's a symptom of the sin that made a home in us. That's
Yeah.
all it is a symptom. It's not really dust, but everyone's confused to think it is the sin. So
Yup.
yeah.
So it's the sin is the devil, says you.
Yeah, it's just straight up. It's the demon, the devil, Satan. They're all synonyms.
Yeah. Well,
And
as you alluded, Paul, I believe in the Bible, whom some of you guys don't agree with Paul, think he was a false apostle, but he stated that sin, it's no longer I who do it, the things that he doesn't want to do, but sin living in
Right.
me that does it. So sin
Right.
is the
that's
possession.
it. Yep, exactly. That makes sense to me, at least.
Yep.
And I don't even think we should call it our sin. I think that's like a trick of a play on words to get us to thinking to identify with it. So it's really not even our sin. But
Right.
I guess you have to communicate. You know, you have to say, okay, I did get drunk last night. I did go do this. That's the way it can. But words are tricky like that. It sounds like you're identifying with it, but it's not really your sin. It's just the thing, the sin that made home in you, causing you to do that.
Yeah.
And
You had an interesting call. I re-listened to it because I was listening. I couldn't listen to American Anchor Baby Saturday morning because American Anchor. I listened to his Nick stream, his Friday show. Yeah. I would listen to a portion of it on Friday, but I don't catch the whole thing. And so I go back and listen to it on Saturday, but it was blocked. He got blocked by BuzzFeed. But anyway, so I was listening to BuzzFeed videos. Obama lovers. Not real love, fake love. So I was listening to the JLP Live app. I have this JLP Live app on my iPhone. JLP Live, ! And let me brighten up the screen so you guys can see it better. Oh, that's too bright. Anyway, I was listening to it, and I was also listening to the JLP highlights. That's a pretty nice... the JLP best of the week, too. But your call came up, I think. I think that was over the weekend. Show? No, on JLP's show.
Oh, on the highlights, okay.
Yeah, I don't even think that was on the highlights. It was actually on the... It just replays the whole week over the weekend.
Oh, okay.
You can call the listen line, and it plays like a 24-hour, roughly, stream.
Right, yeah.
Replay of the week, and I think your call came up over the weekend, and you were talking about, I intellectualize.
Yeah.
So you kind of bought that lie, basically, and it became a self-fulfilling prophecy, and you intellectualized it. But had you not believed the I intellectualize lie, then you wouldn't have intellectualized it.
Whoa, that's like what's that movie? It's like a dream within a dream.
Yeah. Is that Inception or something?
Inception, yeah, Inception. That was a trick to make me identify with the demon in me that's really intellectualizing it.
Yeah. Right. It's so funny how because I relate to this a lot. Like you may get a thought, I'm not gonna make it. I just give up. Right. And you go with that.
Yeah.
I can't endure this 30 minutes alone, or I can't endure not going to the beach. I'm just gonna give in and go to the beach. And it's like these. I don't know if you heard me in the church with Jesse Lee Peterson. I was like, he said, "Do you want to let it go?" I'm like, I would like to let it go, but I also still want to go. Like I'm in my head about wanting to go and thinking that I'm not going to be able to go if I let it go. But I'll still probably be able. It doesn't like it should. That shows that it matters to me too much.
Yeah,
and you're just in your head.
Yeah,
interesting, man.
It does. Oof, I see that happening to me all the time, and that's something you just gotta watch.
Yeah,
and grow out of that, I suppose. So.
Well, it's nice to hear from you, man.
Yeah, no problem, man. Same with you, and I'll be in touch.
Cool. Take care, man.
All right, man. You too.
Josh in Georgia. Let me double check for any super chats here before I get back to calls. I think I can fit another call in before the break. I have cool music to share with you guys. It's Soul Junk Sunday. Oh no, I'm going to skip the Soul Junk. That'll be for the end. It's LN Monday. I haven't played LN in a long time. Let me double check for any coffees. Oh, by the way, did you guys catch my beach stream? I did a little beach recording on the Hake channel, the Hake Report YouTube channel. I uploaded it to Rumble as well. Hake, a beach freak. Hake is addicted to the beach, says Cameron 1422. Yeah, speaking of the beach, at least I made a video out of it and shared it with you guys. By cool, Hake means awful. I proved the obvious globe yet again, but shout out to the flat earthers. Shout out to all of you. Flat earthers are better than Hake. All flat earthers are not equal. And all baltards are not equal either. Okay, so there are baltards who fall for the transgender thing and all these other things. There's baltards who fall for the racism thing. There's flat earthers who know stuff that you don't know, you baltards, or some of you. And so nobody's better than anybody spiritually. And then also, it's not a reason not to listen to a word they say. People are like, that's a Trump hater? Let me tune him out. You don't necessarily want to tune him out because even in his darkness, he may say something that's true, or he may say something that is like, you may realize something. Trump listens to everybody. JLP listens to everybody. God made everybody. You think you're better than God? I don't know if God listens to everybody. No, Sean's not going to come on today. He doesn't want this heat. No, I'm kidding. Okay, so I think we're all fine on the supers. Just double check over. It took me a while to catch up on my Rumble. Hake is mad mama-ing his brother for mama-ing his mama. This is Canadian David. If I missed any Rumble rants, I apologize. I was barely able to pull up my Rumble live stream just now. Okay? Speaking of the Shmornography thing, let me get to Steve in New Jersey. Steve, it's nice to hear from you, man. How you doing?
Well, man, how's it going?
Going well. Thank you.
Nice. So I haven't watched really any of the shows of anybody in the past week, so I don't know if this has been covered. But it was a pretty, I would say, like, controversial tweet that somebody made last week, and it ties totally into what you were just talking about. And so this woman on Twitter, she said, women should not marry men who have viewed porn in the past. And the responses to that, they were incredible. Yeah. I was like, this is fantastic.
Right.
Did you see that tweet, though?
I had not seen that tweet. That's an interesting tweet.
Right. So what's your first thought on hearing that or seeing it or thinking about it?
That's insane because, for one, it's not her business. The only way she's going to find that out is by asking, and a man who has any sense would be like, none of your business, woman, and I don't know, like, stupid. What a sick woman, you know? That's sort of a dirty, false judgment. I get her point. I mean, I get the notion that, like I just mentioned, from the Bible, Jesus said, if you look at a woman lustfully, you've already committed adultery in your heart. But that doesn't mean don't marry. Jesus wasn't telling a woman not to get with any man who's ever looked at a woman lustfully. So that's what I say. I think it's dumb.
Yeah.
I think she's sort of intellectualized morality or something and turned it into something dumb, which a lot of women do. And males.
Yeah, so I agree with you on that. And my take was when I first saw it, because you know how you're supposed to really pay attention to yourself with everything. You know, it could have just been
right.
Like if you were doing, you know, like if you were doing a plumbing job and somebody made a comment on your work, and if you blew up about it, it's like, what was the reason that I allowed that to even give me a feeling in the first place?
Yep.
So that tweet, like I was sending it to friends, and I was saying to myself, if I got bent out of shape about that, what does that say about me? You know, and what I think about myself and it kind of ties in with Jesse's question this week of why do you call yourself a sinner? And I think it's a great, even though, you know, this besides the fact that, yes, like you said, she's intellectualizing, trying to be like a more, you know, moral police or whatever you want to call it. But if you're getting a reaction to it, I think that's more important than the specific act of viewing it itself.
Right. Know? That is more important than arguing with her about it. Let's say she's wrong let's say she's wrong, but you're wrong if you're getting mad about it. And that's more important to look at. Like you just said.
Yeah, because it's I understand where she was coming from with it. It's kind of the double standard of like when guys say don't marry a woman with a high body count. It's kind of the flip side. It's like, all right, if you're telling men to seek out a pure woman who's a virgin and hasn't had a high body count, well, I'm gonna, for clickbait, go say, hey, you know what, women, you shouldn't marry men who have watched porn.
Yeah.
But the reactions to it, though, like I said, is I sent it to friends. And,
Yeah.
These are guys who have, we've talked about this stuff. They've overcome a lot. And so even watching their reactions, I said, why are you getting bent out of shape if you've told me this has never been a problem? And then we kind of got deeper into a conversation about it. And I think a lot of times is, guys go into Christianity and they overcome a behavior, but they never really overcame that identity that they still think that they were a fallen sinner, And I think that's the crux of everything.
Interesting. Yeah, interesting. It's they're getting into their imaginations, because if a woman thinks like that, then that woman is a no until she overcomes that thinking. So you don't want to be with her anyway. You know what I mean?
Right, because it's still evil thinking anyway. So it comes to the point of how much evil do you want to deal with, and being able to like discern and identify how it operates anyway within a woman, because she could be pure, clean, and a virgin, but she's crazy like that.
Right.
Or she could have had a high body count. Yeah, she's got some spiritual damage to her, but she's demonstrating the ability to overcome that, and like God's redemption for her through that. Like you can see that, and I think Joel mentioned it last week. I overheard where he was basically saying that, it's more important to, and I'm kind of paraphrasing it, it's more important to be with somebody who is pure in heart in the sense of they're examining themselves and trying to overcome, rather than just putting on the behavioral modification of I'm acting this way because I'm a Christian.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I mean, it's... Yeah, I suppose so. I think that it's... I don't know, man. I think that it's... Like you just said at the beginning of this point, it's important to watch yourself, whatever situation you're in. And then watching yourself, you'll know who to get with or not, maybe. Or you'll get with a less worse woman, maybe.
until 5 years later,
or maybe you won't get with a woman, because this whole... I've argued with my old college friends about this stuff too, that I used to think of sex as basically it's already married. If she's had the S word, she's basically already been married, almost, in the sense that they've united and become kind of one flesh, I guess. Is that what S word is? Sex? I don't know. I had that idea. Maybe I had that from my mother, from my learning as a Christian-y Christian. But I was like, that's already married. So, and I don't believe in divorce and remarried, in remarriage. So you shouldn't be sleeping around. And this marriage and relationships, that's not life, that's not redemption. But they're like, oh, you don't believe in divorce and remarriage? You don't believe in redemption? But that's not redemption to get remarried. You're turning marriage into a salvation, and it's no kind of salvation. But people think of never marrying. One of my callers thought if he never marries, he's taking an L, as in he's a loser, because he's not repopulating the earth because he wants to have children after marriage, right? But that's believing, that's putting something else as your God, or as this measure of your life. And not everybody's even supposed to get married. Anyway, you follow what I'm trying to say? That people are putting this marriage thing as so important.
I am, and I actually want to ask one last question, because you brought up redemption.
Yeah.
So, because what you just said, wow. So you think that it's not that the marriage itself, like the man leading the woman, is helping, her guide her back towards God, because no matter what, even if he led her, it's still up to her to allow God to change her. So people are idolizing more marriage being the vehicle for that redemption for women, rather than just saying, wait, that was all God, but you don't necessarily need marriage for it. Is that kind of what redemption means?
I I was meaning that redemption has nothing to do with marriage. Yes, men can guide women in a marriage. Most of the time, the men don't guide the women in marriage, but it can happen on some rare occasion. But like the Bible says, like Paul, I think in the Bible said, each man or woman should remain as they are when they were called to God, and not seek to change their situation. If they're unmarried, stay unmarried. If they're married, stay married. If you're a slave, don't let it bother you. If you're a slave master, just be right, you know? So don't be trying to change your situation. But people are seeking after that as if it's this tragedy if they never get married. So I wasn't even thinking about in terms of spiritual redemption. I was thinking in terms of this going into your imagination and believing in the Hollywood stuff of happily ever after, of getting married. That's what everybody wants. And everybody goes into hell with that stuff. They end up being lame in a marriage. I don't know if that answered your question.
Yeah, no, it's almost like it's men want it more for the rite of passage, thinking again, to your point of being in the imagination of, by getting married, therefore I am now a man because I've gone to this like spiritual echelon of, I've married a woman, I'm complete in my life, I've accomplished this, I've done that. When in reality, yeah, you're right. Like that's all imagination. That's all nothing.
I know, it's like an ego status where you're like, yeah, I'm married now. And that lasts for a little bit, and then you realize that you're in a bigger mess that you weren't in before. You hear about all these guys who get whipped once they get with a woman. Because they'll do anything for love. Quote unquote love. I think it's a trap.
Yeah, say, wow, I'm married, and so 5 years later, wow, I'm married.
Right.
Yeah.
And then later, like a divorce, or else the man just caved. Because most of the time when the marriage lasts a long time, seems like the man caved on some level beyond what God would have him do, and is just keeping the peace and kissing up to the wife. And the wife is kind of like looking down on him, putting up with him. What a mess, I think.
Yeah, yeah, I agree with you on that one.
That's an interesting tweet, man. Thank you for the tip on that.
Yeah, I don't remember. I forget who said it, but I'm sure you could type it in on X and find the words, and it'll lead you to somebody.
Yeah. Right on, man. Appreciate the call. It's good to hear from you, Steve, in New Jersey.
Yeah, man. Thanks for having me on.
Yeah, of course. Take care.
Later.
There's one line open, guys. I will get back to your calls and perhaps more stories. But it is LN Monday. The moon is, according to reports, traveling in front of the sun, causing a total solar eclipse for some people elsewhere in the country, not for Los Angeles. It's maybe 40% covered in Los Angeles. So it's cooler today. Is that why it's cooler today? It's supposed to be colder today? I don't know. It was actually already colder this morning, and that's long before the moon came in front of the sun. This moon is supposed to come in front of the sun after this hour, I think. But it's also LN Monday. LN, I think it was short for Love Neptune. I'm glad they changed it to LN, or he, Gary Murray. This is Slow Gaze Monday. No, Shoegaze Monday. I don't even know if it's shoegaze. But I hope you enjoy it, you musical Philistine. This track is entitled Cars Must Burn. It's from the 2001 album Novel. It's like 6 minutes long, so we'll see what we can bear with. Grin and bear it, you musical Philistines. I'll be right back for the rest of hour 2. Hang tight. Isn't this nice? My pro-Semitic octopus is swaying in the sea to this beautiful, repetitive, granted, music. Shout out to Gary Murray of LN. Velvet Blue music. Isn't it kind of not a vibe, sort of a vibe? You hear it? He also plays sort of folk music. I like your music selections, Hake. You're a new generation of JLP. I like his music picks too. Thank you, Retro Memento. Yeah, Tar Baby does come in 100% cotton, I do believe. LN. This is lame. America first. LOL. We're looking at beautiful San Onofre State Beach? Something beach. With unstable cliffs. Danger. Stay back. If you're watching the video feed, this song created depression. Beta vibes. Yeah. That's musicians for you. Shout out to Grandpa Daryl for the ice cream on D-Live. Thank you, man. I gotta schedule Joelle to come up next. Joelle Friday TV. You are the only experts of your life. Saying it's a vibe is a way for people to say passively, I'm not into it. When I say something is a vibe, I'm saying I'm into it. Or I'm enjoying it. Get into it. I'm like singing along to it, which makes it worse. Chris says it's like saying that's crazy when someone's telling a story. That's crazy. Means you've tuned out. Yeah, look at those beautiful waves along the beach. And the obvious globe, you see there? The beautiful straight line that proves the obvious globe. Shout out to the ball-tards and flat earthers. Unite in Christ. No, I listened to this stuff sober. Okay. Thanks, guys, for bearing with me through what I say is beautiful music. Catch Joelle Friday TV coming up next. And Nick, the American Anchor Baby, after that. You can super chat by going to... if you go to thehakereport.com, it has all the ways to watch, all the ways to listen, and all the ways to super chat, I think. Turn it off, says Pastor Dean. Okay. Let me get back to calls, guys. Let's see. Jaime in Minnesota has been on hold forever. Jaime, thank you for calling and holding there, man. What's up?
Hey,
Hey.
I was thinking about what the ladies at the skim were saying about housing prices.
Yes. I read about that in Hake News. The housing prices are up. Crazy.
Right. So what I've heard is that the prices of houses are always what they are. There's no going up or down. And I've heard about, remember that 2008 fiasco?
Yeah, where we had the housing bubble
crashed.
and then it crashed. Yeah.
Right. And that's when the housing prices did go down, but they were all the way up. But that doesn't happen regularly. And now it's stabilized and it's gone up. Houses always go up in value, always. Only been a few times where it crashes. And
Okay.
I heard that was man done, by policies.
Yeah, that's what I heard too. Like, for example, Bill Clinton saying that every black should own a home, and they gave them loans that they couldn't afford, forcing the banks to give them loans. And so the banks figured out a way to protect themselves, and then they tried to blame the banks when it was actually Clinton's, and the government's fault for meddling in that stuff. I heard. But I don't know if that's the whole story either. And JLP said the blacks don't pay back. And so what a mess.
And
shout out to
and
the blacks.
I'm sure back in 2008 they probably had the money, to pay it. And white people did it too. White people lost.
Right.
But the houses now, they're reasonably priced. And I heard about the mortgage rates. They're like 7% right now.
Uh-huh.
I got mine at 6.4. And my mom, when she bought a house, she had it at 4.7, but that was in 2017.
Oh. So that's that is interest rate on top of, is that the amount of interest that's charged on top of what you owe the remaining of what you owe, or it's interest on the total amount that you were loaned?
Do you own a house?
No, I don't know.
Or do you rent?
I don't dox my owning status.
Well, the bank borrows you a certain amount of money, and then they charge you an interest rate. So every year, that's your interest rate. They cut it up into 12.
Okay.
So every month you get charged that much on your balance.
Okay.
Okay. Anyways.
Yeah.
So the interest rate has gone up, but that's not very high. 7% isn't very high. It's a great interest rate.
Okay.
I heard back in the 70s, 80s, interest rate was like 18%.
Whoa.
19%.
I thought it was supposed to be like 3% interest.
It was in 2008.
Whoa.
Around that time.
Yeah.
The government, this is what I heard, that the government monkeyed around with it, kept the interest rate down so that, people would buy houses again.
Yeah.
So the 3%, it's rarely ever there.
Yeah.
We've been lucky, or people had been lucky, but that's not normal.
Okay.
So now that people are seeing higher interest rates than 3%, they're scared, or whatever. They say, oh, this isn't what it's supposed to be like. Well, it's not. What we have now is normal. You know what I'm saying? This is more normal than 3%.
Right. Okay, that's fair, I guess. I suppose.
But the government stopped monkeying around with it and is letting the market adjust.
Okay.
So the ladies at the skim, they're not giving the whole story.
Right. They never do. So what did I read? I said housing is through the roof. An elusive American dream, housing. A Redfin survey found 1 in 5 Americans skipping meals in order to afford their mortgage or rent. And so they claim, right? Another 1 in 6 skipping or delaying medical treatments. And who knows what that means. Meanwhile, half the U.S. is struggling, quote unquote, to make their payments on time. The report comes as home prices have gone up about 60% over the past decade, and amid a housing shortage that states and the federal government are struggling, whatever that means, to address. So you're right. They're not telling the whole story, and they're not telling the reason at all.
No. Did they say something about the state?
The states and federal government are struggling to address a housing shortage.
Well, that's not the whole story there too, because
Yeah.
I've been watching content where people go over their finances and they build a budget. And they do this for people, real life people like you and me.
Yeah.
And it's shown that they throw their money away on gas station food, on trips, on stuff they shouldn't be instead, and then they're taking out debt, credit card debt, loans. So these people, they ain't skipping meals because of their house prices. They ain't not getting their medical needs met because of their mortgage or rent.
Right.
It's because they're living frivolously.
Yes, beyond their means. That is so true.
Right. And that's just what the credit card companies have taught us. To spend on credit.
Yeah.
And that's wrong. That's wrong.
It is.
We're in debt. We're enslaved to these credit card companies and banks.
Anybody who's in debt to them, yeah.
That's the real slavery of today.
Right.
And people aren't seeing that.
Yeah.
But the reason why people can't afford, and Zoomers especially this day, is because they're in debt or they don't work. It's not because anybody's keeping them.
Yeah. Like you said, living frivolously, going out to eat and spending money on stuff that they don't need but they want, and their egos can't go without. And so they just physically suffer because they're spiritually unable to deal with anything, even unable to go without.
That's right. And it's because of anger,
Yeah.
They got to feed their ego, and if they could just get rid of that anger, and that's what I did, and once I got rid of it, this whole budgeting thing has been easy. I got like 7 credit cards left. I'm getting rid of my consumer debt.
Nice.
And it wasn't until I got rid of the anger, that I could do that, because I was always out buying stuff. I had to feed that ego to feel better.
I sometimes confuse you with Manuel from California, because I think Manuel from California is really on it in terms of making money and living well. He had an accident, I think, that put him in a wheelchair, and he's just, since that time, I think, or maybe even before that, he really just became a real entrepreneur and able to handle his business and take care of other people.
Right. Yeah, but
go ahead.
So some hope to the people. Get rid of your anger, and this whole debt thing will be easy. You'll be in a house in no time.
Nice, man. That's nice advice. It's good advice. I have a conspiracy theory that the government and especially the Democrats, but the rhinos too, they don't mind people being desperate and spiritually lost and unable to take care of themselves even on a physical level in terms of making money and stuff. Whereas Trump wants to make things easy, get obstacles out of the way so that people can succeed. Businesses, for example, can succeed, and people can have good jobs and stuff like that. That's the sense that I get about the government versus our greatest president.
Right. Yeah, it's only a conspiracy if it's not true.
Yeah, true.
Hey, but I was thinking about did you hear about this in San Francisco? I want to say last Tuesday they shot some salt into the atmosphere
No.
to create some cloud coverage.
Is that what
And,
is that what they do elsewhere in the world? Cloud seeding or something like that to
Well, I don't know about all that, but this is like they didn't tell anybody about it until like Thursday of last week. Something like that.
Okay.
Because they didn't know how the people would take it.
Oh.
You know?
Interesting.
But so they starting to shoot salt up into the atmosphere so that it reflects the sun's rays.
And so that protects California or that area of NorCal?
Well, they did that there probably just as a test to see, so they can test it.
I hadn't heard of that.
Yeah.
Huh. Well, thank you for the tip on that, Jaime in Minnesota. I'll have to check that out, or have somebody look it up and tell me more.
Yeah, that's about it.
Thanks
All
for
right,
calling,
you have a
man.
good day.
You too. Take care. Wow. Daniel in Texas is on the line here. Daniel's been on hold forever. Thank you for calling and holding there, man. How you doing?
I'm well, James. I'm always on hold for you.
Nice. Right on. Appreciate it.
And I'm happy to do it. I want to talk about the American Civil War.
All right.
I feel I need to defend the honor of Texas, sir.
Okay.
Because it's come under my notice that there's this idea that Texas isn't really part of the Deep South.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Uh-huh.
Have you heard this sort of thing before?
I have indeed. In fact, I think that notion came out on the Hake report in a call who was a caller was addressing you. I think maybe it was Meade from one of the other southern countries, the more real southern countries, whereas Texas kind of like west and also sort of southern. So lay it out.
Okay, so these are my grievances on Texas not being Deep South. I will first say that Texas is not only Deep South, it is as Deep South as you can go. Now,
physically, you mean latitudinally? Is it latitude?
I mean the year is 1861.
Okay.
Texas is as Deep South as it comes. And all the policies throughout the southern states were alive and well in Texas at the time. And a lot of the fierce loyalty to the cause for the Confederacy, a lot of it came out of every state to include Texas. And Texas was famed for how much enthusiasm they had towards the Confederacy. So much so that even Sam Houston could not dissuade the Texans from joining the Confederacy.
That's right. Sam Houston, I learned from, if you'll allow me to interrupt, pardon my interruption, but I heard from a show, Asmodor's show, that Sam Houston did not want them to go to the war because he knew that it would be bad. Like, they would come out worse for it. And he actually defended slavery. He supported slavery. Am I right about that?
Yes. Sam Houston, his number one concern was loyalty to the Union. The Union must stay together.
Okay.
And Sam Houston's career was oversaw, for the most part, by Andrew Jackson, President Andrew Jackson.
Oh, wow.
President Andrew, right? So all the territorial expansion prior to the Mexican-American War.
And that's way before That's well before the Civil War, right?
Yeah, so the American Civil War was 1860s. And
Yeah.
then before that, you had the Mexican-American War, which is the 1840s. Before that, Texas independence. And before that, Andrew Jackson's president overseeing territorial expansion to the west. Okay?
Okay.
So that's where we are in our history and where Texas stands as
That's
far
right.
as...
That's right. To
being a
interrupt you
southern
again, because Texas was Mexico for a bit,
Yes.
and then Texas, the Anglos moved in there. I learned this from one of my other guests, former Congressman Steve King of Iowa, that the Anglos, demographics is destiny. The Anglos moved to Texas and became farmers, and then they took over Texas, basically. Texas became America.
Yes, and at the time, they were admitting slave states along with Union states so that there would be an equal balance of slave states
Oh.
and non-slave states.
Okay.
So
That's what the
had to-
Union was doing.
At the time.
Yeah.
So Texas was a slave state, and it had to wait for a non-slave state to come into the Union for it to come into the Union. So not only did it have to win its own independence, it became its own nation, but it had to wait to be annexed into the United States, and it had to wait for a non-slave state to be admitted to the Union
Wow.
because it was itself a slave state.
So that was a real issue at the federal level.
Yes.
Okay. Wow.
And as far as, secession is concerned and talking about Sam Houston was a staunch Unionist. And the reason was because President Jackson, who Houston was a politician in Tennessee prior to coming to Texas, and prior to that, he served in under Andrew Jackson's command in the military. And Sam Houston didn't do very well in the military. He was kind of run out of the military in a very comical manner because he went native. A lot of the westward expansion would deal with a lot of the natives, and Sam Houston for a time lived with the natives, and so he adopted some of their customs. So he went to a formal officer's occasion. He was a lieutenant at the time, dressed in native attire, and he was basically run out of town.
Wow. I did not know this about Sam Houston.
Yeah, so he had a career in Tennessee as a politician, and then he had a marriage that kind of went south. It didn't do well, and it was kind of an embarrassing thing. So
she caught him looking at dirty. No, I'm kidding. I was about to say a joke that she caught him looking at dirty videos and she couldn't stand it, but that's not true.
No, the reason was she was very young. She was very young, and he at the time was he had a lot of war scars. He had a nasty war wound, and I think these things kind of turned her off. Sam Houston.
Huh.
And poor Sam basically, let the whole thing fall apart and kind of moved on with his life. And he went out to Texas to kind of separate himself from the political fallout of the dissolving marriage and a failing political career in Tennessee.
Wow.
And so he stakes his claim in Texas, and he becomes General Houston. He essentially is the most famous man in Texas.
Yeah.
And he eventually, after Texas wins its independence, becomes governor of Texas after it's annexed into the Union. But he was a protege of Andrew Jackson, and Andrew Jackson, knowing full well the contention between slave states and non-slave states, imparted to Sam Houston, the Union must stay together no matter what. No matter what, because outside forces will tear it asunder gladly. And it will be a great detriment to the country as a whole. So it has to stay together. So Sam Houston stood on that foundation, and he lost everything for it. He essentially was forcibly removed by an angry mob.
Wow.
And lived the rest of his days. He died in 1863, but basically lived in bitterness about all of his accomplishments being taken from him by an angry mob.
Wow. So, he had a rough life, man. It sounded like he was kind of weak in some ways, on some levels. He had some weaknesses. Like you said, he wasn't a good soldier or general or something. And he was so bad that he got some scars. But he survived.
It comes down to circumstance. it comes down to circumstance. You know, he in many ways he was he was more successful than most people.
Right.
I'd say.
Yeah. No, I still highly respect him. I mean, just based on his name. I mean, I know that Houston name, and his name, Sam Houston, that sounds cool and tough. But that's, you never know what people went through in real life, you know? You know a little bit, you know definitely more than I do about him.
But Texas is South. It's deep South.
Yeah.
It's as deep South as you can go. Especially at the time. Nowadays they say Southwest or whatever, but Texas is a large state. There's, you know, in East Texas, it's very much, especially Southeast Texas, is very much Southern.
Right.
It's way south.
Yeah.
So
I mean, it's basically Louisiana.
Yeah.
If you will.
And a lot of Louisianans come to Texas for work because the oil, the chemical refineries.
Okay.
You know, and that's been going on for a long time. That 100 years ago, or even 60 years ago, all of the New Orleaners would jump on the trains. It was a big thing. They'd all get on the trains and they'd all go to work. The husbands would all go to work in Texas. They'd all go to work in East Texas with oil.
Yeah.
And then they'd leave their families behind in New Orleans, and then their families would come with them after they had earned enough money to kind of make their stay where they worked. And they all came from New Orleans, which was the largest city at one point in the South.
Yeah.
They all came from New Orleans, and they came to. It's very much a southern city, or it's very much a southern state.
Yeah, that particularly, as you said, southeast Texas.
Yes.
Is it true what Sam Houston said? If you can't own slaves, are you really free? Did he say something like that?
I don't know. I don't know. But I know that he would have loyalties to the slaveholding South.
Right.
He had his loyalties to the slaveholding South.
Yeah.
But
I thought he had a speech where he was like a pro-slavery speech.
Probably. I mean, he would have been elected
which I admire. I don't have any beef against that. I'm not saying that. I'm not saying that derogatorily.
Yeah, well, I mean, anti-slavery politicians weren't going to go very far in the South.
Oh, true. Yeah.
Right. So, but let's not conflate the opinions of people before the war, during the war, and after the war, because they change.
True.
They do.
Because the situation changes. So what's right changes because what's right is based on the situation, because all these different factors are involved.
A perfect example of changing sentiments is Jubal Anderson Early, who was Robert E. Lee's temporary Second Corps commander, and in many ways showed himself at the level of proficiency as Thomas Jackson, in some ways exceeding it.
Wait, Andrew Jackson or Thomas Jackson? Wait.
Thomas Stonewall Jackson.
Oh, okay. I don't recognize it when you say Thomas Jackson. You have to say Stonewall Jackson, because I didn't get past Jackson. 7th or 8th grade.
Yeah, which is probably the coolest nickname you can have, period.
Yeah, it is.
You're in the military. But Thomas, he showed proficiency at levels that sometimes exceeded Thomas Jackson, but he also had many failings during his command under Robert E. Lee.
Yeah.
But Jubal Early, prior to the Civil War, was a staunch Unionist. He voted against this. He was a politician at the time in Virginia.
Yeah.
And he voted against secession. He was adamantly opposed to it. But once the state voted on it, he decided to throw his lot in with the state.
Right.
And then after the war, it was all about states' rights.
States' rights?
It was always about states' rights.
Yeah.
Right? But it wasn't that way when the war started. So these changing opinions, we have to keep in mind that people change their minds.
True. Very true, man. Yep. And some of them sincerely do it. Some of them do it sincerely. It's not all just politics or whatever.
Right. And Sam Houston, even though he was a staunch Unionist, still held correspondence to ardent Confederates.
Yeah.
during the war.
Yep.
So you know, things are in flux. Things are always in flux.
Yeah. Nice, man.
I feel like there was something really. Oh, I wanted to talk about Lee and his public service. Right? We always talk about Lee and the American Civil War because that's where he's the most famous.
Real fast, if you can.
I will.
Okay.
Okay. So he levied the dam around St. Louis in Mississippi. He engineered levee works because he was an engineer. So
Robert E. Lee was an engineer?
Yes, he was
Okay.
an engineer. And he engineered a lot of the public infrastructure that prevented flooding along the Mississippi River, which was a real problem at the time. The Mississippi River was totally out of control. It was a wicked river. It was notorious for flooding all the time.
Wow.
And it would change course all the time. Well,
Wow.
Lee engineered many public works on one of the largest port cities on the Mississippi to control these problems. So, you know, Lee had done a lot of really incredible things outside of the American Civil War.
What an honorable and great man. I'm saying that it's sort of like a backhanded stab at my other caller, Joe from Phoenix, who bashes Lee. So it's, I mean, it's neither honorable nor dishonorable to be a talented engineer, but that's cool, man. I respect that.
Okay. All right.
Well, great to hear from you. Daniel in Texas, call me again, man. Appreciate you.
Okay,
Thanks for holding on so long.
Okay.
All right. Bye. Jake, I gotta get to Jake in Mississippi. How are you doing, Jake? Thanks for calling and holding, man.
I've been on hold for an hour and some change.
Nice.
Took three calls because I had to call back 3 times because it was too long. But what is up, Hake? How you doing? I did get your picture you sent.
Nice, right on, man. Thank you for the shirt. I ordered a shirt from Jake.
Yeah. I also want to talk about. I want to say this. I just want to say, number one, Hake is amazing hair. I had it. I wish I had hair. By the way, that was one of the comments clip. Says Hake is disrespecting somebody that's balding. You were talking about it was a clip from our episode, and it was you seeing your hair, and I'm balding. So, but I just also want to say I want to ask, how was your weekend?
My weekend was fine. I don't disrespect balding people. Well, I disrespect people, and then sometimes I comment on their appearance.
Yeah.
But it's not personal. I'm like getting thin haired. It's purely descriptive. But sometimes I have talked about. There was somebody who looked like he might be older than he really is because, you know, these different factors on our face and body and stuff. But anyway.
I want to add, hey, did you watch WrestleMania this weekend?
No, I don't watch that stuff at all. Not that I have anything really against it. It's just that I've never gotten into it.
By the way, Cody Rhodes won the belt.
Congrats to Cody Rhodes.
Yeah, but I've also
one of my favorite people is full blown bald, and he's been bald since 18 years old. Real Vincent James.
All right.
He's an alpha.
But by the way, on my show, I kept like singing for la head for the head report.
Nice.
You got that song in my head, Hake.
I know. Well, don't blame me. Blame my friend who made a great, wonderful song. Probably better than Happy Birthday. Happy Birthday is a great song, but I think the Hake Report might beat it out.
Would Joel get offended if I make him a song?
No, I doubt it. It's tough to offend Joel.
You
could even say the N word and it won't get to him.
Friday. I called on Nick's show on Friday, Nick's stream on Friday.
Did you? I have to get to that. I haven't been able to catch it. He had to remove something that was copyright blocked.
just on YouTube. If he did it on Rumble, it won't get copyrighted.
Oh,
The video
true.
being on Rumble.
Oh, dang. Hake doesn't think very clearly. I could have been watching it over the weekend because Rumble wouldn't have blocked it.
Over on Rumble.
Duh.
Over on if his streams on, you can watch it on. You can watch because it doesn't get copyright.
Right.
That's the difference between. And by the way, I just also want to say that YouTube is beta.
Indeed. I agree.
Sorry, I had to do it. I had to do it.
It's good to hear from you, Jake in Mississippi, man.
All right, and by the way, I got something I want to tell you.
Okay. Oh, he clicked on me. I think he literally did. See? These autistic people, they're smart. They're brilliant. Well, he says that he has autism or something like that. Or Asperger's. Those Asperger's people, they know how to get you with the click. Frederick, Rika in Los Angeles. I call you Rika for short, but it's good to hear from you, Frederick in Los Angeles.
What's going on, Hank? Good morning.
Morning to you.
Yep. You getting schooled by the autistic.
Yep.
That's crazy, right? but no. I was calling on talking about Trump. You see his stock? What's going on with it?
His stock? Oh, you're talking about like Trump Media or something like that, or is it Truth Social or something?
The economy's booming, but he's fucking. Excuse me. He lost $1 billion in a day.
He black. You're millennial too. Are you millennial or are you Gen X?
I'm Gen X. You know that.
Oh yeah, I did know that. You're older than me. Just by like you have like a year or two on me, which means you're Gen X. So Trump's
got about 5 years on you, Hake.
Oh really? 46?
47.
47. Okay.
Yep.
All right. Well, I'm 42 and a half. Anyway.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Whatever. I'm 48 then, cause I got my birthday next month. Huh?
Oh, okay.
So anyway, what's up? What's up with you? Did you see Janet Yellen go over to China and come back talking about we need to start building electric cars?
No, I didn't know that. Janet Yellen, not a Christian, the Treasury Secretary under crooked Joe Biden.
Been over in China for 4 days. Man, I'm international. I'm watching her, and she already like, we need them, and they want to work with us, and we need to do what we can to help them. Oh, that bull, man. They know where we at. She's scared of them. Hey, I ain't going to talk about it, but look.
So what's your point about that? Is she scared of the Chinese? She's kissing. It sounds like she's kissing. You made it sound like she's kissing up to them, saying we need their we need electric cars like you guys or something.
Mm-hmm.
Does China make something that's essential to our electric cars, like cobalt or something like that?
We're just the two biggest economies in the world, and we work hand in hand. But they know how to save money. She's talking about boosting up their equity and giving them more money. Because they save more money, they're about to pay their workers more money while we starve. Because they know how to save, and we already in debt. We don't know how to save.
Yeah.
So they're in a position to pimp us all they want because they got more savings than we got. We ain't got shit saved. We owe them.
You keep on cussing, man.
Going over there, she's going over there getting directions of what they want her to do.
This is not after dark Nick stream. I think you cussed today.
This is. What do you talk about on your show? You talk about news. You talk about Trump. Why, if you voted for him because he's a businessman?
I know, but you said the SH blank.
Why is his stock selling?
You said the SH blank T.
No, I didn't.
Oh, maybe I misheard you.
Yeah,
okay.
I didn't cuss.
Okay.
I said if you voting for Trump, why is his stock selling?
Oh, I don't mind his stock failing. That's just one.
He's a
that's one
businessman.
aspect.
He's supposed to be. You voting for him because he's supposed to be a good businessman. You know, I run companies.
Yeah, but nobody goes on Truth Social. I don't even go. I have Truth Social, and I don't even go on it much.
Oh my goodness.
So I don't care.
Why are you voting for him? What's his skills?
Because I love him. He's the best.
Oh, that's so sweet. No one has love, Hake. Stop it. Disavow right this minute.
But he has love from God. He has love from God for America.
He has love every time he put up one of them donation numbers at the bottom of the screen and asks you for some money, and it comes in. That's all he loves.
You don't know that. You're just speculating about his heart. You don't know that.
Well, yeah, I'm not picking either side. I probably won't even vote, you know. But
Nice.
at the same
That's
time,
good. I wish more of
yeah,
your
I'm not.
kind wouldn't vote.
Yeah, because you voting for a Zionist. That's all right.
Zion Dawn, you better vote for a Zionist. The anti-Zionists, most of the anti-Zionists, the ones who have any chance, are
I'm
worse
running for
worse
president
than Zion
2028.
Dawn.
I'm running for president in 2028.
Lord, good luck.
Yeah,
You have a lot of personal growth. Yeah,
a veteran. All right, what?
You got a lot of personal growth to do to win anybody over.
I'm about to go work for Gavin Newsom, and I'm about to go work for the dude in Bakersfield because he's a Republican.
Nice.
And I'm going to steal all their votes. What? It's going to be real easy.
Well,
all right, Hank, have a good day.
Yeah, you too. Take care. Wish you well. Bye. Joe in Phoenix, Arizona is on the line. Joe, thank you for calling and holding there, man. How you doing?
Good morning, James.
Hey.
Okay. 2 quick notes about Robert E. Lee being the dirtbag that he was.
Okay.
During the invasion of Pennsylvania, he enslaved 3 black Americans and brought them back to the South as property. Soldiers under Lee's command.
Invasion of
Carter.
PA. This is homework for my Civil War expert, Daniel, in Texas. So, the invasion of PA. Okay, go ahead.
Yep. During the soldiers under Lee's command at the Battle of Crater in 1864 massacred black Union soldiers who tried to surrender.
Battle of Crater?
Battle of Crater, C-R-A-T-E-R, in 1864.
Did you say massacre?
Massacred black soldiers trying to surrender.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Yep.
I mean, this is I'm not getting any context, but I don't expect context because we have a very short amount of time. This is just stuff to consider and look up if you care about the reputation of Robert E. Lee.
Exactly.
Nice.
You just called him a great man, and he was clearly a dirtbag on many levels. But that's okay.
Well, but everybody's a dirtbag on many levels. We are all. Our righteousness is like filthy rags. That's in the Bible. Right?
Yeah, you keep saying that.
He's your fellow Christian brother, Robert E. Lee.
No, he's not. He was not Christian at all.
He wasn't Christian?
No.
He was not even a professing Christian?
His actions certainly weren't.
Okay, but was he a professing Christian?
No idea, actually.
Aha. So you're just saying stuff.
No, that's your MO.
Go ahead.
And have you seen how many lawyers have gone to jail or have been indicted around Trump, and yet somehow you still seem to think he's not a criminal?
Oh, yeah. I mean, that's people going to jail. That doesn't prove anything nowadays. As you pointed out, the justice system is not about what's just.
Not what I said, James. I said that quite often the law has nothing to do with justice.
Right. Yeah.
It's still the law.
I know, but I saw this inscription on the top of a building, and I forget what it said, but it said something to the notion of true justice is essential to a republic or something like that. And we don't have true justice anymore.
I wouldn't say that.
I definitely would, man.
There can definitely be miscarriages of justice, but for the most part, I think our justice system gets things right.
That's nice of you to think that. I guess.
Mm-hmm. But I'm actually very frustrated today because the bee project I told you about has to stop.
Bee farming, something like that.
Yeah, we were going to do it for the project for this year, but can't do it because there's going to be profit involved. And of course, a bunch of moms got involved when they heard the word profit, and now they can't agree on who gets what to do what. So I'm just gonna stop the whole project.
That's fair. Greedy people.
Very frustrating indeed.
That's why you should want Trump back in office so that he can help bring prosperity for all. And so people won't have as much cause to fight over money because there will be plenty of money.
Once again, James.
There will always be greedy people, of course. Go ahead.
The Federal Reserve has far more to do with the economy than the president does.
Oh, okay.
Trump did nothing, absolutely zero, last time he was in office to help the economy.
That sounds like That sounds both an exaggeration, which I think you would acknowledge, and a terrible lie.
He was handed an economy gaining 300,000 jobs per month.
Thanks, Obama.
Exactly. Thanks, Obama.
Whatever, man. I gotta run. I gotta wrap it up, man. Thank you for your call, Joe in Phoenix. Don't take anything Joe in Phoenix says as the truth.
Or Hake.
Or Hake. That's fine. I accept that. Thank you, man.
There you go. Fair enough. All right, man. Have a good day.
You too. Bye. Rick in Hampton, Virginia. I cannot get to you. I have a hard rule that I don't get to anybody within 5 minutes of the end. Although I do break that rule. Wanted to talk about the blacks having to work harder myth. I got to end very soon here, but there was a super chat that came in over on buymeacoffee.com/The Hake Report. Someone bought 3. Hake, I noticed on Jesse's Sunday Archives, it appears the year 2011 is not available. Why is this? Can these videos be added? American flag emoji. That depends on Bill, the engineer, getting something to work. It's the Blu-rays are unreadable. The Blu-rays are unreadable. They're supposed to be the best, but they're not. Enjoy Soul Junk Sunday, guys. Going into Monday. This track is entitled Moonpie Eating from the 2002 album 1958. Joel Friday coming up next. Bye. You can go away if you don't like rap. Junk to the soul.
Yeah. Junk to the This thing needs holes poked in it. I pause for a minute to reflect on what keeps folks stressed out and guessing. Ain't no wrinkle in time. A 15-tone line, a theoretical spine can stand up to the mind that exists within mind. Possessing all things, take part with the divine. Ain't lessening the messianic shine. One single photon.
It's Christian.
These scribes got a rack by the door. They hang their brain in the coton. I float upon word, gospel absurd to the natural. Capture all data and rapture y'all with truth. The hits the syllabus like John Wilkes Booth. Dead presidents for gods, I got proof. You pray to your ceiling, formally aloof. Only signal finds its way through is cable access. Your priest is an actress who feed on the mattress off the dish and the roof. Fact is, I jack this beat 4 degrees off its axis to get my battle axe and smack this point home, sweet home.
Isn't this a vibe?
Smooth as sandpaper, groove, soft as cactus. Tactical weapons as tools, clear synapses.
Atolf is not digging this game.
Speak the word and enact it. I cracked it, the code that forbids the download of the abstract to actual. Fire-tongued implode. Power close for this hour low by those who sing evil. Live like E.R.I.P. Behind the sepulcher. Slowly get the message, but always shoot the messenger. This session here goes out without doubt to those far and near. Saturated in the love I've been blood bathed. Way beyond your mental persuasion.
It is nice.
Raspberry time, do the bump if you're stoned. You get rump abrasions. Stop playing hard to get and get your lumping matter gray stuff.
It's Christian.
This gospel broadcasted across nations. Fire breathing on your station. Lax to the soul and make you sing.
Being Christian doesn't magically make it sound better, Hake. Some Soul Junk songs Hake plays are decent. Not sure about this one. Finally, some rap. I like that part. I gotta get out of Joel's way. Bye.